So you've beat the Panthers in all league games this year. Is that something you were like looking to do towards a few final games?
Well, obviously, like you want to win every single game, but like you said, there's obviously a rivalry, just how close the Panthers and Steelers are. So yeah, it's one of those things. Like I think the rivalry in the last couple of years has kind of, I want to say died off, but it's kind of like the league's gotten so competitive with a lot more teams being competitive and fighting for the title, where I think it used to just be like Nottingham, Sheffield were the top two.
Yeah.
So those were like really important games. So I want to say the last couple of years, I wouldn't say it's died off, but there's been more focus on other teams like here and there, where like you kind of got to win every game.
Yeah.
So like I'd still say there's a rivalry, but it's pretty much you want to win every game, and if you beat Nottingham, it's good. So
Would you say you get a personal win out of it more than others, or?
Well, I played for both teams, so it's like I know how it feels. Like obviously the games mean a lot, but they're like, oh, when I was in Nottingham, they're like, we hate Sheffield, and then when I'm in Sheffield, they're like, we hate Nottingham. So yeah, for me it's like I enjoy winning, and it's nice to always win against a former team and stuff like that. So, and I get a win against my old coach. Like Corey's obviously back now, so it's always nice to give a good smile to him during the game, and just a little cheeky smile and see what he does. So it's always good to beat him.
So when you play these games, you do get a bigger crowd, sometimes sold out. Would you say it impacts the way you play, or?
Obviously, like it's nice to come out and obviously have a packed crowd, and it's nice even when you're playing in Nottingham, like they get a good crowd, and the fans obviously, I don't know, for me, like they obviously hate Sheffield and they hate me because I played in Nottingham and I left. So yeah, it's a good atmosphere when you can go out there, packed stadium, and I enjoy fans screaming at me. I think it's kind of funny, and I'd prefer home, but it's always nice to go to Nottingham.
Yeah.
And you can give it to some of the fans especially this year, since we've been up quite a bit in games. Like you can yell back. You can yell back at the fans and wave bye to them if they're leaving early. So it's a good. That's fun. It's fun for me at least.
Yeah.
Like if they want to give it to me, like they should expect to get it back.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah.
And then you've also played for the Devils. Would you say you have a personal rivalry with them?
I think last year I was a little bit more not focused on the rivalry, but like the coach didn't really pick me, who was there last year. So for me personally, it was kind of like every time I played Cardiff, I was going to be like a huge thorn in their side and make it a point. Like you kind of screw it up. So I'm not saying it's not like that this year, because obviously they're a good team, and I think we split with them this year.
Yeah.
So it's been a good series where it's been off and on, and then obviously we played 2 good games against them in the Challenge Cup to advance. So I would say last year was a little bit more personal for me, but it's still like my goal is to go out there and win every single game you can play, whoever you're playing against.
So you said the rivalry's dying off with Nottingham. Would you say there's another team that's replacing that, or is it just not really a thing in the league anymore?
It's still a rivalry. It's like the league's gotten a lot better, where there's so many good teams where you can't take a night off. Where like it used to be the focus, like before I came. Well, maybe like when I first got to the league, like everybody like marked off Panthers, Steelers, or like rivalry, where like those were big games. Where now it's like the big game could be against Coventry, who's right in the middle of the pack, like pushing. So it's like there's so many good teams now, where the league's so competitive, where like you still have rivalries, but there's still like the rivalries have changed, where it's just spread out amongst most of the teams, where like you need to stay focused game in, game out, because it's a tough. Obviously the league's the big title, and you could have a couple bad game stretch and that could ruin your season.